Hey, everybody, welcome to another great edition of Catholic Laughter. And I'm your host, one of your hosts, Carl Kozlowski.
And I'm Scott Vinci.
And each week we bring you some fun talk about something that ties in with life as a Catholic or a Christian. And then we teach you about an unusual saint, something about that in a fun section. Then we do a big interview. And today,
Guess
very
what's
excited, we have Victoria Jackson.
Yeah, guess what's coming up this week, Carl? Valentine's Day is coming up.
Oh God.
It's
That's a day that I kind of dread. I think I'll be curled up in the fetal position in my bed, crying about my lack of a love life.
that sounds like more like you just want an excuse to lay down and go to bed instead of your love life.
Well, I used to have a sleep disorder, so that might be the case. So
Well, the pressure's off of both of us this year because we're both single, so we don't have to buy any gifts. So that's good.
that's
Um,
always nice.
do you remember when we were kids? I remember like you got those little paper Valentines, and you'd have to you could also like your name on them and then give them away. But they were the small envelopes, remember? And you put them in.
Yeah.
Uh, I used to have a bunch of those. I used to like that. Like we had bags. Everybody had a bag, and I think it was taped to our desks, and you could like put Valentines in there when you like somebody. Everybody just did it for everybody, like your friends, all your friends. But it was
Yeah.
cool to see who got the most Valentines. But you remember the candy, the heart-shaped candy with the messages on it?
Oh yeah. I forgot what they call those, but definitely, yeah. Those were. I don't know.
Yeah,
What do you think of them?
well, they to me they look like chalk and tasted like chalk. Not that I ever ate chalk, but they were just like super chalky. But you remember the messages? Like they said be mine and your tops.
Yeah.
Please go away. I got those a lot. The please go
That's the
away.
one that everybody would hand me, the "Please go away" sadly. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
That's funny.
I always felt bad in case like, it was a good thing that they enforced that everybody got a paper Valentine because, that way, everybody had to bring in enough for everyone so that nobody wound up feeling rejected or left out, like they didn't have enough of that, you know? I kinda wish they would do that as adults in Valentine's Day, like, guarantee that we get at least some Valentines no matter how bad we're doing.
Yeah, you go to work and you get like five in your mailbox at least. That'd
Yeah,
be cool. Like bring those back for adults.
exactly, yeah. But, yeah.
Well, Valentine's Day is like Arbor Day. It's like you've never had an Arbor Day and you're never gonna have a Valentine. So that's what I say. No, I'm
Oh,
just kidding.
oh, come on, man. I mean, in
What-
kindergarten, I was a real ladies' man. They came running to me.
Yeah, all the ladies, your mother, your grandmother, the teacher. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, trying to beat me with a spoon, jeez. But, enough about me. I mean, you've had better luck with girlfriends than me. Did you ever, do something really special or kind of funny for a girlfriend on Valentine's Day?
I was thinking long and hard about that. Nothing's. I mean, maybe we just exchanged gifts, or went out to dinner, but I don't remember any like Valentine's Day that was like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. We did this, we did that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's plenty of people about to enjoy their own special day, and to you, we all want to say enjoy. And we've got something else special to for you about Valentine's Day because
well, Carl,
this week, huh?
yeah, now it's time for
Saints Corner.
we like to tell you about unusual saints every week. This one's really special for this week because we have Saint Valentine. So, Carl,
Yeah, that's
more about Saint Valentine.
well. St. Valentine wasn't a greeting card writer who worked for Hallmark. I was surprised to learn that myself, but he was actually a priest in the third century who had a romantic spirit.
Well, yes, this was back when they let priests fall in love and get married. It was actually legal back then, right?
Oh, the good old days. No, I'm kidding. But Valentine was living under a horrible dictator named Claudius the Cruel.
But by the way, Claudius the Cruel, can you imagine having your name tied to an adjective?
Well, I'd be Carl the Bipolar, and I think you'd be Scott the Broke.
Okay, touche. You got me. You got me back from earlier.
Yeah.
I have money now. Okay, leave me alone. No, go ahead. Well, Claudius, he was a warmonger. By the way, warmonger, there's such a thing as a cheesemonger. Did you know that? I don't know
Really?
what the deal with the word monger is, but it's like when you're like really good at what you do, you're a monger. Like a cheesemonger is someone who makes cheese, a warmonger is someone who makes war.
Huh.
Yeah, anyway, just a little fun fact. Claudius was a warmonger and he wanted to make all the men possible, soldiers for him and his army. So he thought that he saw that most men were getting married, so he banned marriage and weddings so he could just send guys off without a problem because they wouldn't be
Yeah.
tied to anything, back at home.
I think some guys, depending on the wife, they might have been glad to be sent away. But hello, folks.
Folks.
Anyway, enough comedy jokes there. No, but the thing was that St. Valentine, he stepped up and he started doing secret weddings for couples so they could still be married. I mean, when Claudius found out about it, he wanted to stop him at all costs.
Yeah, so St. Valentine, they first threw him in jail, but he was in love. Check this out. So he was in love with a blind girl.
Wow.
This is where I don't get who did this. It says he loved her so much that he wrote love letters to her from his jail cell. First of all, how did she read these love letters? I have no idea. Maybe she was like, "Oh, I got a letter here. Can you read it, Janice?" Like she had a friend who would maybe read to her.
Yeah, yeah.
Then let's see. He loved her so much, and because they wouldn't let him have something to write with, he actually had to squeeze ink from orchids, and he wrote letters with the ink from the orchids.
That's crazy. I mean, some people think it's hard just sending an email, but when Cornelius found out what oh shoot. Sorry, I got to cut that. Okay. But when Cornelius found out that he was sending the letter, let me start one more time over.
That's okay.
But when Cornelius found out that he was sending the letters, he ordered Valentine to be clubbed to death.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So after his death, he caused a miracle. His girlfriend regained her sight. So at least she didn't have to see him be beaten.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool that she got to regain her sight, but it's such a harsh way to go to see. I mean, good thing she didn't see him, but it's such a harsh thing, huh?
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, he was beheaded, and his skull is preserved to this day in a shrine in Rome with orchids lining his skull. Can you imagine? But it's like, I gotta ask you, what is it with all the saints who got beheaded? We've done like 6 episodes, and I think at least half of our saints have their heads chopped off.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know what that is, and they're preserving the heads too for people to see later on. Like they must have a good mummification system of something, but.
Well, no, I think it's the skulls. They're
Oh, it's just the skulls. Okay, I was thinking skin and every eyeballs. I was thinking too much. I was way overthinking that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're getting weird there. Yeah.
All right. Well, Carl. Well, let's see. He's also the patron saint of epileptics, and beekeepers, which the church does this a lot. They have saints do these causes, but they do like an umbrella system. It's like, well, he's also the saint of epileptics, lovers, animals, truck drivers, astronauts, and pharmacists. I don't know why they throw all that. None of them are related, but they always throw it in together. It's so, I don't know. That's our church. That's what we do.
Yeah, then we already had another saint, I forget which one, but on one of our earlier episodes, who also was the patron saint of epileptics. I mean, there's like 10 saints who are patron saints of comedians.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We should just pick one instead of having 10.
Yeah, no kidding, be done with it. But I think we're done with this part of the show. So everyone, just remember, there's a real saint who's the patron of people in love and married people, and that's Saint Valentine.
Yes, and this has been Carl.
Saints Corner.
All right, Carl. Well, now it's time for our very special guest. Why don't you go ahead and give her the introduction that she so deserves?
Yeah, well, we're so excited today to have Victoria Jackson as our guest. She was an iconic cast member of Saturday Night Live for 6 years. Her unique voice, ukulele skills, and ability to do handstands while singing have made her a unique presence in comedy since the mid-'80s. She's also authored 2 books, but more importantly, she's released not 1, but 2 CDs recently. She's a devout, lifelong Christian and a very sweet lady. Give it up for Victoria Jackson.
Yay!
So you have 2 albums coming out. One's for kids called Ukulele Lady, and another one's more clean for adults. It's called When I Get to Nashville. There you go. That's the Ukulele Lady one. And
It's not more clean than the kid one.
yeah, the kid one's cleaner.
They're
I
both
misspoke.
clean.
Yeah, they're both.
Actually, this one is for adults because I don't think kids want to hear me complain about my marriage. There's like 5 songs and 10 minutes of stand up on my marriage, so kids wouldn't like that, but it's not dirty.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So how did you decide now's the time to come out with this whole burst of creativity to the world?
Well, thanks for having me and asking me. I moved to Nashville 11 years ago to be near my grandchildren. And when I was driving here in my pickup truck with my 3 dogs in the front seat fighting over food, I started thinking of this song. When I get to Nashville, I'm gonna knock 'em dead. I'll be the country singing star who can sing standing on her head. I'll play my that's Music Row. I'll play my ukulele at the Opry and make their hearts stand still. I'm gonna be a country star when I get to Nashville. Okay, this is the Grand Ole Opry handstand, and this is the Minnie Pearl statue handstand. Anyway, handstands is my gimmick because I did it on the Tonight Show. That was my big break. I did handstand poetry.
You were a gymnast when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, my dad was a coach, so I had to do it my whole life. And this is my most recent handstand in Paris, age 62, in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Wow, that's wild.
That's really great. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, so you were trained. You studied gymnastics when you were a kid, and how did that led in a very interesting way? You eventually getting noticed and invited out to Hollywood, right?
Not exactly like that. I was in summer stock in Birmingham, and Johnny Crawford was the lead in the play, Meet Me in St. Louis, and I was in the chorus line, and he gave me a one-way ticket to Hollywood to be in his nightclub act.
Wow.
So that's how I got.
Did you do the handstands and stuff in there?
I was doing back handsprings in the chorus line, and he noticed me, and he said I had an interesting voice, and then he wanted me to be the comic relief of his act where he sings 30 songs. And I said, well, you better ask my parents' permission because I'm only 19. He was 33. And
Oh, wow.
so they said, okay, if you start college again. So I went to chase my dream.
Well, that's great.
Wow.
Well, how did the ukulele come about in your life? Like, how did you fall in love with that and know that it could translate so well to comedy?
I started playing the uke when I was about 10 because the guitar was too hard to stretch your fingers, and yeah, I just did it for fun. When I was trying to make up 6 minutes to get on the Tonight Show, I had to think of something to do for 6 minutes, and I don't know how to write jokes good, so I thought, well, I'll do a handstand, recite poetry, play a song, I'll put my poem to music. When I went on the Tonight Show, the talent scout said, if you put a poem to music, you can make a lot more money. So all my poems I turned into, I'll show you, I was just showing someone these today. This is my, this is Ed McMahon.
Oh, wow.
That was my baby. She's 38 years old now, and she's a
Wow.
Christian writer, speaker.
Oh, wow.
And
Cool.
this
That's
was,
great.
here's Doc Severinsen. And that's Jim McCauley, the talent scout, who got me on the Tonight Show. This is the guy who first got me on the Tonight Show. No one would ever know him. He's John Schrum. And he was the set designer of the Tonight Show. And he used to hang out at the 30s Club where I was the cigarette girl. So that's how he got the talent scout to come see my act.
Oh, that's
Oh, that's
cool.
great. Well, so you were on there like 20 times, right? Or over 20 times?
I was
Like, what
on
was that like?
I was on 18 with Johnny, and then I was on one time with Gary Shandling,
Oh, cool.
and then one time with Leno. I think 2 times with Leno, but yeah, and I think that's why Lorne Michaels gave me the audition for SNL because he might have seen me on there. No one ever told me how I got the audition. So.
Wow.
So let me ask you this. So you had a very Christian, you didn't have TV, like you didn't get to watch, you had TV, but you didn't get to watch it, right? Growing up?
We did not have a TV. My dad was worried that he would be addicted to it because he
Oh.
loves Elvis. He was in vaudeville, and
Oh,
so we had a gym in our backyard, and we went to church 3 times a week, and he wanted us to make straight A's. So we did not have a TV. I don't think I ever saw Saturday Night Live before I was on it.
oh,
Wow.
So yeah, so how do you think you got your talent and got to be so funny without, like, a lot of people watch TV, they get a lot of ideas, like where do your ideas come from?
I think that not being brainwashed, what everyone else was being brainwashed in my generation gave me a different perspective.
Like a very original one.
I think so.
Yeah, that
You know
makes
what I was
sense.
just thinking? I was on this interview today and I forgot to tell them this, but I'll tell you. I did not understand SNL. I kept thinking, why do they keep doing talk shows? And there's fake news, and they're making fun of commercials, and they have fake game shows. And after 35 years of being away from the show, I figured it out.
Okay.
I finally figured it out. It was started in 75
Hmm.
by Lorne Michaels and the rebellious hippies, and they were making fun of TV. Television took itself seriously. It was a new miracle that everyone was enjoying. It had clean, nice shows, and everybody was very polite. And they came and they made fun of the game shows. They made fun of the news. They made fun of the commercials. They made fun of the talk shows. And that's what it was all about. Nobody ever told me. And I kept thinking, they keep doing games, so they keep doing talk. So I think if I could go back and redo it, I would understand how to write myself a character or an impression. But it was like comedy college, and I kind of learned on the job.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you certainly knew how to, they found great ways, or you found great ways to be remembered, because people, like, whenever I mention you, and especially this week, people are just lighting up, like we're getting lots of likes and all that stuff. And so I remember one of the greatest things about you, of course, I loved your songs, and I loved when you would do the handstands right on the desk at Weekend Update. I remember you did that with Dennis Miller sometimes, right? Or
Yeah,
was it
it's
Kevin
because I
Nealon?
couldn't think of any. I didn't know how to write a sketch because I
Uh-huh.
never had improv training like Second City, like you guys went to.
Yeah.
So I just knew how to speak for myself, like make up a song or do a handstand. So I did about 4 or 5 handstands on the update desk. One with flag on my butt, one is a Christmas tree, one is something else. But one with I love a cop on my legs when I was leaving to marry my husband who was a cop.
Oh, bless you.
Bless you.
I've had this for 8 months since COVID.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Did you go to the,
Starting to go away.
oh, good.
Well, that's good. But I mean, do you have like a favorite who was like one of your favorite people to work with, or the favorite person to work with? Because that was a great group. That was Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Kevin. I don't know if Kevin Nealon was already on, but Dennis Miller and Rob Schneider was on there. Was Farley in there when you were there?
Chris Farley?
Yeah,
Is that who you said?
yeah. Was Farley with you at
Farley.
that time?
Yeah, he was my last couple years, was his first couple years. We kind
Oh,
of,
okay,
you know,
yeah, transition.
passed. He played Tom Arnold and I played Roseanne Barr together.
Really?
We got to do it with them. And I was thinking, Carl, I think we might have met in the early 80s at the Ice House.
I only moved to LA in 2002. So
Oh,
what I probably did was I was entertainment editor at Pasadena Weekly, and because Ice House, which for our listeners and viewers, is America's oldest, longest lasting comedy club. It's been around 60 plus years. And I would profile most of the comedians that came through there each week in the paper. And I'm remembering that I believe I wrote a story about you, and that's how we got to know each other.
yes, I
But
think that's
yeah, yeah. So it was very exciting always to get to meet folks like you. But what was your favorite memory, if you have one, of SNL?
Well, the nicest people to me on the show were Dana Carvey, Kevin Nealon, and John Lovitz, and I'm still in touch with John Lovitz. We just texted this week. I'm a little in touch with Rob Schneider because I tricked him when he came to Nashville 8 years ago to do stand-up, and I had breast cancer and I was bald from the chemo. I went to the green room and I asked him if he would do a cameo on this album, my new album. He does a
Uh-huh.
pretty funny cameo at the beginning.
Yeah.
And how could he say no? I was dying of cancer and I was bald. So
Oh,
of course he didn't say no. And I got his phone number, so we're kind of in touch here and there. And he just kind of came out and said he had faith in Jesus Christ. And that was recent on CBN. And I texted him and I sent him the article, and I said, "Yay, Jesus!" And then he texted back a heart. And so
oh.
yeah, so he was the newcomer when I was the old timer there. And yeah, and my favorite moment on the show was, hey, what does this guy Will do?
He's just our. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, he owns the FIO app, and they put this on the FIO app. He's recording, but when he edits together, this picture of him is not even in there. It's just the three of us. So you'll see, we'll get this back, and it'll just be the three of us on here. I thought that too when we first started recording our episodes. But he won't be on there. He owns the app place.
I will. And you guys, you can leave that in. I think viewers would like to hear that story. I love interviews where things go wrong and dogs bark, and you get to see the real person,
Yeah.
So, Will, I'm glad you're here. You're hiding behind a frozen picture, but anyway. So my favorite moment on SNL of my 6 years there was when I sang "I'm Not a Bimbo,"
Oh
because
yeah.
I wrote it. And see, there was always pressure for us to write our own things.
Mhm.
And I was always like, I can't think of anything. So this one week, Christine Zander, one of the writers, threw the People magazine on my desk, and she goes, "This would be good for you." And it was Jessica Hahn on the cover saying, "I am not a bimbo," in all caps. And then she was stripping for Playboy that week. And ironically. And I did get to meet her later, and she was very sweet and gracious to me. But with the Tammy Faye Baker scandal, you remember in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so I thought, why isn't Christine Zander writing this then? She's the writer, but it doesn't work that way. So I was like, oh, yeah. So I think in ukulele songs. So I came up with the song. I got a little help from Greg Daniels at the desk. the desk, he gave me some ideas. I go, what would a bimbo say? You know, and then I submitted it to read through, and it was like the blues, like just because of the way I look, just because of what I wear, just because of how I act and how I fix my hair. You think you can label me, but don't you dare, because I am not a bimbo. So I submitted it, and Lauren did not pick it. And I was like, everybody loved it. So I waited outside of his office for an hour because he's important. You have to wait. And I finally got to see him, and I said, Lauren, I can't believe you didn't pick my song for the show. Everybody liked it. And he goes, I don't like the blues, which I thought was weird since he produced the Blues Brothers movie and everything with Aykroyd and Belushi. And then I'm like, okay. So I said, well, then I'll make it not the blues. And he goes, go and see Cheryl. And so I went to Cheryl Hardwick's office, and she was practicing Beethoven. She had her cigarette hanging out of her mouth, and the ash was like this long, and it never fell. It was like never falling. I'm like, how does she do that? And I go, Cheryl, Lauren said he would listen to my song if you made it not the blues. She goes, what do you want? Pop? I go, yeah. So she made it just because of the way I look, just because of what I wear, just because of how I act and how I fix my hair. You think you can label me, but don't you dare, because I am not a bimbo. So I jiggle when I walk, so I wiggle when I walk. I got extra body fat. You're gonna call me bimbo just for that, just because my. So I did it on the update desk with a semi-strip to make fun of Jessica Hahn.
Hmm.
And it was a big hit. And then COVID from China. And
Yeah.
so then I went into the after party, and I usually didn't like the after party because I was tired and everything. But this party, I walked in there and I felt like I was walking 10 feet off the ground because I could feel the respect of my peers.
That's
For the
great.
first time. And it was like, and that was the show with Steve Martin and Sting were the host and the music. And so the other day when I was trying to decorate my house, I had this big empty wall, and I thought I need something show busy up there. And I thought, hey, wait, I was in show business. And I went to Getty Images, and I was just searching around, and I saw the good nights of that show, my best show, with Steve Martin and Sting in the middle, all my cast members and me on the end, smiling proudly but humbly because I'm a Christian, and Jesus teaches humility. But I was like so proud. I finally wrote something for the show. I was like, and yeah, so I blew it up huge in black and white, and it's on my wall, my other place. So
Well, that's awesome. So tell us, you live in Nashville now. What made you move to Nashville? How is Nashville treating you? Are you happy to be in Nashville? What's the showbiz like in Nashville? Tell us.
I love Nashville. I love the seasons. I love the mountains, the nature, the cows, the barns, the people. Jesus and show business are here, my two favorite things. I moved here to be near my grandchildren and my daughters, and we were together yesterday. And there's nothing more happy to me than being with my kids and seeing them grow up and be happy. And my granddaughter just got the lead in the play Annie. Woohoo!
Wow, congrats.
Cool.
She's 13 and she gets to sing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. And she's a great singer, unlike me. I'm not a great singer. I'm just a medium singer. And my daughter is writing, she's a Christian writer and speaker, and on her 5th book for Lifeway, Scarlett Hiltibidal is her name. And my other daughter is just gonna start trying to have babies, and she's just built her dream house with her husband, and I'm very proud of them.
Oh,
That's great.
So it's a lot of there's a lot of good family stuff now. And you go to like you're going to go see your granddaughter perform, but have they've all come to see you perform when you've done stuff live too?
No, my stand-up act is about how difficult my marriage is. And when we're in front of the grandkids, we try to hide that side of life.
Yeah.
Kitties, we don't show them the broken glasses behind the closet door. Me and my husband are so opposite. Like 5 songs on my album are about that. Like, how do you undo? I do. Oh, yeah. And one's called Broken Glass, and one's called Stuck in a Minor Key. I want to take a trip to anywhere. It would be paradise if you were there, but you are glued to your easy chair. I guess you're stuck in a minor key. So anyway,
Wow.
yeah, we we have a very challenging marriage.
Okay. Go ahead, Scott, if you have something.
I was just going to say yeah, a lot of marriages are, but you're doing it, so that's a good thing.
I'm trying one day at a time. Sometimes I fantasize we never met, we never got together, never got reconnected. And although I tell my friends that this will never work and that I despise you and that you're a jerk, I would never say I hate you. Thank you.
I had a question I meant to ask when you were talking about SNL a moment ago, because when I even went to church with you a couple of times way back, check out where you go, and you signed the copy of my script, like we said. I met you, or after I met you interviewing you, you did a character in a staged reading of a movie script I wrote, and you signed it with, I think, the verse that's on your shirt. I've seen yeah, and I forget what verse that is, and so I wanted to talk about that since it obviously has some meaning to you, but also, how did being a Christian, did that make things either awkward or anything on SNL, or was everybody cool with it, or what?
Yeah, that's a great question. I probably did sign Luke 137. That's my
Yeah.
favorite verse. For with God, nothing shall be impossible.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
That's a great verse.
Yeah.
Well, it's so crazy that I signed that like in 2007.
Yeah.
Now it's 2023 and it's on my chest. I must really like that verse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Being a Christian on SNL, I was probably the only Christian in the cast, maybe in all of the casts. I don't know. Only God knows your heart, but basically, Lauren hired me because he thought I was funny, and I was very professional, and it was never a problem. One time there was a sketch that made fun of praying, and I waited outside Lauren's office and I asked him if I could not be in it because I thought it made fun of praying. And I said, if I do this sketch, I really like that I had a lot of lines because I was always trying to get more lines. But I said, I'm afraid if I kneeled down and started doing this prayer that kind of makes fun of praying, I am afraid I would get struck by lightning or start crying. And he's because I said, I really believe prayer is talking to God. And he said, understand. And he gave the sketch to Julia Sweeney, who was Catholic at the time. She's now an atheist. She wrote a play
Yeah.
about it called Letting Go of God. And
Yeah.
it's really brilliant, funny play. And I went to it with my daughter, who was a teenager in LA, like around 2007, around then.
Mhm.
And Julia said I was the only one from SNL who came to her play.
Wow.
And she said she appreciated it, and we hugged. And she said, me and her are both as passionate for and against God we're both passionate. Look at this. This is so unprofessional.
What?
It's either food or makeup. So sorry. I need wardrobe. There, makeup. And so, yeah, so Julia is now an atheist, but I've been trying to witness to her about the truth because I think thou doth protesteth too much. I wrote a song called The Atheist about her. It's on YouTube. I sang it on TBN. And it goes, she talks about her lack of faith. That's how she puts it. She sticks her nose up in the air and says, there is no God up there. She does not fear the Lord because there is no Lord to fear. And she talks about it all day long. And that's my Bob Dylan impression. But at the end of my song, I go, if he doesn't exist, why do you keep talking about him? I feel like atheists are wrestling. They're wrestling because inside they know there's a God. Because it's like, if you don't believe him, don't waste all your time talking about it or whatever. Just live your life that's short that you think is going to end. Why do you keep telling everyone, And they all have a superiority attitude about it. But I have been to Bible college and I study the Bible every day. I'm in China Phillips. China Phillips started a group. She, the Mamas
From
in the
Wilson Phillips.
yeah, from Wilson Phillips.
Yeah.
She has a YouTube channel called California Preaching, and I started watching it. I was so proud of her because she's telling the gospel accurately and so doctrinally accurate. Jesus died on the cross, was buried, rose from the dead for our sins so that we can have eternal life with him. That's the gospel, John 3:16. And she was explaining it so well. So I wanted to donate money to her ministry, California Preaching. She's so beautiful. It's more like entertainment when she talks about God. But and so I looked up how to do that, and I found out if you join California Healing, I could give money and be in this Bible study. So it's grown to like, I don't know, 80 people now. And I'm one of the leaders of the groups. There's 5 groups, so we study the Bible every day. But the thing is, the Bible is historically accurate, scientifically accurate, archaeologically accurate. I forgot the other ways, but if you really study it, it doesn't have any contradictions, and it's a living, breathing thing, and it's my most exciting thing I do is study it with these Bible babes. Every day we pray together, and once a week we meet on Zoom. And anyway,
That's pretty cool.
That's really great.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's really good.
I mean, it does hurt your career to be a conservative or a Christian, unless you're John Voight. It hasn't seemed to hurt him, but it does. It kind of gets you blacklisted to be a conservative more than being even a Christian because politics are so now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bible says if you love Jesus, you will be persecuted because they hate him. And Rob Schneider, in his recent interview, the guy said, why do people resist Jesus or hate him so much? And Rob said, I think it's because if you believe what Jesus says, you have to acknowledge you're a sinner.
Yeah.
You
That
need a
makes sense.
savior. And it's hard for people because of pride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, wow, that's a really profound statement. And I wanted to say, when you're talking about Julia Sweeney and the whole idea of how atheists and Christians debate things, there's on another episode of our show. I just want to tell you and the rest of the people that are tuning in for this that may have missed it. Our second episode, we talked with Pete Holmes, who's a really big comic, and he was a Christian who became an atheist and then now is back to being a Christian again. And he has a really great talk about that. And so just invite y'all to check it out.
When I get to Nashville, I'm gonna knock 'em dead. I'll be the only country singing star who can sing standing on her head. I'll play my ukulele at the Opry and make their hearts stand still. I'm gonna be a country star when I get to Nashville. You know, everybody has a gimmick. Dolly Parton has 2 gimmicks, but I'll have 3 because I can do a handstand. If Dolly Parton did a handstand, she'd suffocate herself.
And throughout your life in comedy, who was your favorite person to work with?
I think I bonded with Carl in the early 80s when he first interviewed me. I mean, not the early 80s, 2007.
Yeah.
Because I think he told me he was a Christian.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, me too. And there aren't that many of us in show business. That's one reason I was very excited about China Phillips.
Okay.
Who was my favorite person to work with? Well, probably Steve Martin, because I don't know, I'm a big fan.
I love that.
What?
I love that sketch you guys did where you're on that dinner date and the whistle goes up or the whistle goes down. Yeah. I recently rewatched that before this interview and I was like, I remember this sketch. This is so funny.
Yeah, Al Franken wrote that sketch, and I was so excited to be sitting next to Steve Martin. I was so nervous, and he was asking my comedy opinion of whether he should walk out on his knees or not, like to give it a little button at the end of the sketch.
Mhm.
And I was like, like Steve Martin is asking me, you know, so he did walk out on his knees. I think the joke was that he was pretending he was short.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the joke was that he was short.
Yeah, the joke was he was short.
He was short,
Yeah,
but you could tell he was on his knees. So it was kind of like he pulled down the 4th wall at the same time. I don't know. It was very exciting. And I got to
That's
be in
great.
Toonses with him. And Toons is the driving cat.
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Wow, that's great.
That's funny.
Is there any dream, whether it be comedy or other, you know, like a big, I haven't done this yet, but I dream of doing it. Anything like that? I think that'd be a fun thing to ask somebody like you.
That's a great question. I would dream of not having a cough anymore. And tomorrow I'm having a root canal on my 40-year-old root canal because it's
geez.
so old that it's not working anymore. I dream of being in heaven with a new body.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, in my career, I have a dream to sing at the Grand Ole Opry. I have not achieved that yet. I dreamed that I was hear my own song on the radio, but I have heard it on the radio, especially with my new album. I did a bunch of interviews and they played it on the radio. But I think what I meant in my dream was I wanted it to be a hit song on the radio. Now I'm thinking I want to be the next Taylor Swift.
Oh
That's
yeah.
my next dream. And I, I'm very grateful because God just gave me 4 jobs this spring. I have
Wow.
a stand-up show February 17th, a stand-up show March 30th in Columbia, Tennessee. The first one is private. I have a movie in April in Virginia Beach where I play an old woman who dies. And I have a play, a big play that's Christian at TPAC in Nashville downtown in June. And so I am working and I'm old. So that was my dream, to keep working, and God's letting me. So I'm very grateful.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah.
Yay, God. But hey, we gotta let you go. So where can people find everything? I know that ukulele ukulele lady is on Amazon, but I think the Nashville album is only on your website as far as we want a CD.
Yeah, this is for sale on my website, victoriajackson.com. Also, I have another children's CD for little bitty kitties. It's called Ukulele Ditties for Itty Bitty Kitties. And, and I have 2 books I've written for sale on my website, victoriajackson.com. One is about my breast cancer journey and survival, and the other one is how I got on SNL, and it's called "Is My Bow Too Big?" referring to how I wear bows a lot.
Yeah.
And so they can go to my website or follow me on Instagram. It's Victoria Jackson Official.
Okay.
Cool. And how about your your Victoria Jackson Official is your Instagram handle, right?
Yes.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you doing this.
You
And-
guys, it was super fun. You're very, very sweet. And it was very fun to see Carl after all these years. I saw him on my LinkedIn and he was trying to get a hold of me, but I never answer my messages on Facebook or anywhere because it's too much work.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Somehow we found each other again.
Well, I hope to meet you someday in person too. It'd be nice to meet you.
You too, Scott. You're super sweet.
Oh, thanks, Victoria.
CatholicLaughter.com brings live stand-up comedy shows to your church, fundraiser, or event. For more information or to inquire, go to CatholicLaughter.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram.